We now know who the new head coach of the United States men's national team is going to be. And it's the previous coach of the United States women's national team, none other than the GOAT player, Karch Kiraly himself.
Yeah, that's we talked to John Speraw over there, and you guys can find that interview over on the Volleyball World YouTube.
And the one that we both did a few weeks ago?
Yeah,
or
the one that we did together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he told us that, that was going to be one of the first big jobs that he had to do as being the CEO of USA Volleyball, and he wasted no time. Went for what was maybe the obvious choice, but obvious because it's probably the right choice. Karch's pedigree and everything that he's done with the women's team. They've gone to 3 straight medal matches at the Olympics under his tutelage, like a gold and like a silver. And in many ways, you could look at this team that was this year, and none of you and I didn't expect that.
That was a huge overachievement.
Yeah,
huge.
Based off everything that they had done before that. So he's consistently led this team to greatness. And let's be honest, LA will be 42 years after his first triumph in LA in
Also
84.
in LA. Yep.
So there's a lot of parallels there, but Karch is the real Thanos of volleyball, and he's just trying to collect them all at this point.
That's a lot of infinity stones. He's got indoor Olympic gold as a player, beach
2
Olympic gold as a player, right? 2 and 1, and then indoor Olympic gold as a women's head coach, and now he could potentially get 1 as a men's head coach if the perfect thing happens, in my opinion, because obviously that's what I'm rooting for. I kind of agree with you. I think it is the logical choice, and you had the chance to talk to John Speraw just this week after the news broke.
Yeah, on Friday.
On Friday. So that was, I think the news broke on Thursday.
Yeah, news broke Thursday, and luckily, we've gotten to have a pretty good relationship with Speraw.
Yeah.
And I felt real comfortable just to message him, and he was like, "Yep, absolutely." And he messaged me pretty late because he's in Colorado late in the night. I woke up, saw it, and he did an interview with me at 7:30 a.m. his time before going to a budget meeting for USAV.
Trooper.
So, I think there's one thing that you're going to be able to say about this John Speraw tenure with USAV is that it's going to be a transparent one.
Love it.
And he's been very vocal to us. He said that when we spoke to him, and it was once again. But I want to continue these open channels, and it was really awesome. But yeah, it was in the way that he said, and I don't want to give away too many things because we're going to be releasing this stuff through the Volleyball World channels over the next little bit. But it's a no-brainer to offer that job to Karch first, right?
I completely agree with that. Just organizational structure-wise, you have that guy in your organization already. At least offer it to him, and then 100%. go from there if he wants to stay on the women's side or if he wants to step away and do something else. But he's the greatest male volleyball player probably of all time. He knows only Olympic success. He basically wrote the book on Olympic success. Why not at least offer him the job? So I agree with that part of it. It's a very interesting dynamic too. Speraw and Karch were colleagues.
Yes,
they were 2 sides of the same coin, and now all of a sudden Speraw is technically Kiraly's boss.
I don't think Speraw sees it that way.
I don't think he does either, but technically that is the case. So that dynamic is interesting, but it's an awesome opportunity just for the building of the program, for the way that Speraw now in the CEO role, the way that they can build this thing so collaboratively, and the relationship that can be created between national team and federation that in both of our experience previously just really didn't exist.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see. From our understanding too, that the national teams under the USAV kind of work within their own silo, and kind of do their own thing. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I just read Peter's comment.
Classic.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes, and who knows, maybe we'll get a chance to chat with Karch real soon.
That would be awesome. I mean, so from a volleyball X's and O's coaching of the USA men's national team perspective, I think there's a lot to get into with that fit, because and a lot of people I've seen around American volleyball have already talked about this. The way that Karch coached the women the last at least 8 years and really the past 3 whole quads, that coaching style is not going to work on the men's side.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see.
I guess
right?
we'll
It's also too that like Karch carries this pedigree with him that he may be able to demand things that others necessarily can't. Right? Because you're not going to turn around and tell Karch, no.
Nope.
You don't know what you're talking about.
No.
You've just won literally everything. You've won at every level. You have built this game on your back in so many ways, and all you continue to do is just turn around and give back to it. So maybe I think there's definitely that part of the dynamic, but like I think Karch is really, really smart. I think he knows though that I think he's one of those few people who was also like the really good athlete and the really good competitor, but also understands maybe that interpersonal side of things to a certain extent.
Which sometimes is pretty rare. I mean, a lot of unbelievable, like all-time great athletes do not make good coaches because the game comes so easily to them that teaching it and building around that is difficult for them because you're like, oh, well, you just do it. Like,
100%.
Just do it naturally, which Karch could. But the way that we saw him construct that women's national team program was built over years and years and years with so much intention.
Yeah.
And even though I think the style of coaching the men is going to need to be different, he still has the ability and the track record of building up a program with intention. And if anybody, so like you and I have both had the chance to talk to Karch over the last couple of years, right? Like you interviewed him in Quebec City, and I interviewed him in Arlington this year, and then just all of his interfacing with the media. On the women's side, he's very steady, very calculated, very intentional, very like level-headed. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's very it was like very, very steady, and that was the way that he built the program. It was the way that he always acted. I and many others in American volleyball don't think that will work quite as well on the men's side, but those people who are concerned about that probably don't really remember how Karch was as a player. People don't remember the absolute firecracker that Karch Kiraly was as a player. That competitive fire is still in there. That like outward display of emotion is still in there.
And look at the thumbnail of this video, and you can still we've still seen that it's on the sideline. So, but I'm just very interested because this American team could be a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things that could happen with this American men's program over the next 4 years, and not only is there going to need to be a youth movement of sorts, and definitely in some ways.
For the first 2 years at the very least.
And I'm going to say this as an outsider's perspective, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but we're not exactly looking at like the best youth movement of youth coming out of the NCAA ever in the history of the USA volleyball.
Definitely
right?
not, which kind of was the case at the beginning of John Sparaw's tenure.
100%.
We got a lot of really good young talent in the 2015 ballpark.
And that's what this is like. This team is built upon that.
Correct.
Right. That's the Thomas Jaschkes, the Taylor Sanders, the
Aaron Russell, Micah Christensen. Yeah.
All of Taylor Averill, all of those guys. And let's be honest, and we've talked about it before, that same quality of athlete isn't necessarily coming out as American athletes out of the NCAA right now. They are coming, a lot of good foreigners, but it's not necessarily coming in the form of Americans. So one of the things that John and I talked about in our chat was there's a really big surge right now with boys volleyball in the United States and building it at the high school level and building it at the club level. First Point Foundation, we've talked about a lot about them and stuff like that. How does Karch coaching that team and the marketability of it affect boys volleyball in the United States? And that's, one of the things you're going to have to wait for the conversation to John Speraw to, little fancy plug there.
Yeah, nice tease. That was excellent. Yeah, that's awesome question. And if USA Volleyball has their priorities in order, what they would do is promote the hell out of Karch Kiraly. Find clips of Karch Kiraly as a player. Create the superstar aura around Karch Kiraly, the player, to all those new young new boys volleyball athletes who probably haven't heard of the guy before. And hopefully over the next 4 years, I think a major goal of USA Volleyball going through LA, and there are many, is turn Karch Kiraly into a celebrity. Turn him into a celebrity to a potentially new audience. And that could reap benefits for the national team 15 years from now.
Yeah.
But the first 4 years, I think there are a lot of things that have to happen. But one thing that I really like is that now CEO John Speraw, who obviously is the outgoing men's national team coach, and Karch Kiraly can be in complete sync with the strategy for the quad. The quad's really unique for us. We don't have to worry about qualifying. We should prioritize getting youth in, and we have the luxury of being able to do so without having to worry about the results or dropping in the rankings because we're hosting the Olympics. So Karch and John can work on that plan for the next 4 years in like totally hand in hand, and building a relationship between federation and team, like I said, that can support and build upon existing success and build for more Olympic success, whereas before the national team really just kind of operated in its own little bubble.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to see if that actually happens, right?
Yes, we
you know,
will.
there's a lot of things, and you know, the next step for Mr. John Speraw is
Is that a Ben Patch question or?
well, no, Alex also just messaged, and he said W2F Rob's in Toronto.
What's up, Alex? Saw
but
Marcus in the chat as well. Shout out.
the next big thing is the women's team head coach.
Wanted to talk about that too.
But it seemed that, and I agree with him, that it seemed really important to find the men's team head coach really quickly. And that same urgency, for whatever reason, just isn't on the women's side. And I think on the women's side, maybe you can take your time to assess the situation and kind of see what's happening on that, and see what's kind of out there, because I think there's so many opportunities both within the program. And I did ask John that if there was any international considerations, which there was apparently.
Interesting.
And which is generally different for the United States. You guys don't really generally go outside. You're pretty cocky, and think you don't know what's best. But it kind of works out for you, so you can't really say anything about it. But yeah, so that process, I think, for the women is going to go a lot slower. And I
agree.
I think we're going to see that maybe in a few more months, like leading into the new year. Once VNL is kind of announced, I would expect to see it maybe February, March.
Yeah. So, and I totally agree with you. I don't think that timeline is because of a lack of priority. I think it's just because of the market and the calendar of volleyball
and the importance of that job.
The NCAA season ends in early December.
Yeah.
Then in early December, there's this annual massive coaches convention, the ABCA convention, which is in conjunction with the NCAA Women's Final Four, where every volleyball coach in the country shows up, and it's basically a big, massive networking event. Like, so many coaching careers get made or changed, or job offers. The convention is a massive deal for the women's volleyball coaching industry.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are a lot of very qualified people that are on USA Volleyball's radar to potentially take the head women's job that are currently coaching in the NCAA. It's in the middle of the NCAA season right now. It would be irresponsible to hire somebody now for the women's job before you can do your due diligence on NCAA coaches after their season is over.
100%. Right? Because it's probably not only a head coaching change, but it's probably a completely, we'll have to see how much overhaul is within the system.
It's probably going to be a lot on both sides.
100%.
And another great opportunity is with John now at the head of the organization to, hire the two new head coaches and link them more directly to the youth development systems, and just like figure out plans for different time periods of how to build both of those programs for success. But yeah, I'm really curious about the staff that Karch is going to hire for the men. Because honestly, right now, it's kind of a new era for both teams. There's going to be a lot of turnover in players for both teams. I think now it makes some sense to have new people leading both programs, but there's going to be turnover in a lot of ways. Kind of like I've been saying since even before John took the CEO job was that we need to figure out the national team head coaches, and then next we need to kind of get a download of which of our players are retiring for good, which of our players are taking a couple years off, and which of our players are going to continue playing this whole quad that we can build upon. All those coaches are going to need to be able to synthesize all those pieces to put it all together. There's going to be a lot of change.
I also wish we just didn't work in these quads. I wish we just like grip it and rip it at all times, you know, like
in our case, because we're hosting the Olympics, I think it's unique.
True. It is. And it is like the potential, like if Karch goes and wins Olympic gold with the USA men in LA, like that's like Disney's like hello USA volleyball. How do we license this story?
The storyline,
right? Like that is literally like Hollywood is like, okay,
straight up,
let's go.
Happening in
like,
Hollywood's backyard,
and you know too that if it starts happening, and like we're way ahead of this. We're four years ahead of this, but you know like the NBC train would just start a chugga 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 chugga.
Finally, men's volleyball is marketable. Check out this story. Yeah,
we'll see. There's a lot there. But I'm going to be very interested to see. We need to do a check-in with Eric. We need to do it. We need to go.
So Eric texted me on Thursday. It was interesting because we did the show on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I was in a hotel room in Atlanta, near Atlanta, and then on Thursday I was literally walking around the college campus of the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
I had time to kill that day. I was walking around on campus. I discovered that there is absolutely no barrier whatsoever between me and walking onto their football field. So I did that.
Nice.
It was cool. I just walked right into the football stadium. And while I was sitting on a bleacher in the University of Georgia's football stadium, I got a text from Eric Shoji that said, heads up, they said that USA Volleyball is going to be announcing the new head coach today. And I was like,
humble brag over here.
I was like that's ridiculous. I said, don't tell me who it is, but are you excited about it? And he said, yes, absolutely. And then the news came out a couple hours later, and
so yeah, I think we need to get Eric on the show here, touch base. If he wants to bring the Champions League trophy, he can.
Which one? All three of them?
Yeah, all three. Yeah. And we'll just ask him about it because that's going to be like once again, it's Karch.
Karch is Karch.
It's Karch.
Yeah,
it's Karch. Like, you know, I did get the chance to meet Jiba when I was in Brazil, so I've met basically the two goats.
Yeah. Different eras. Karch did it on the beach, though, for the record. Jiba has one Olympic gold or two?
One. Just Athens.
Yeah, just 04. Because he wasn't on the team in 16. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Legends.
Legends. All right. On to